sites that I am going to be talking about today are Aihole and Pattakal, located in the state of Karnataka in India, and they have often been called the cradle of Indian temple architecture. Both these sites lie on the banks of the Malaprabha river within 13 kilometers of each other and are approximately 515 meters or 1689 feet above mean sea level. They are at a distance of about 534 kilometers from Bangalore, the administrative capital of Karnataka. Between the 6th and 12th centuries, however, this land was ruled by an Indian royal dynasty called the Chalukyas. During this period, they ruled as three related yet individual dynasties. The earliest dynasty, known as the Badami Chalukyas, are perhaps best remembered today for their contribution to Indian temple architecture. It is in their period that the transition from rock-cut medium to structural temples took place. Aihole and Pattakal were successive capitals of the Chalukyas. While Aihole is traditionally considered the laboratory of Chalukya architecture, the city of Pattakal illustrates the apogee of an eclectic art which in the 7th and 8th centuries achieved a harmonious blend of forms from the North Indian Nagara and South Indian Dravida styles of architecture, leading to the birth of the Vesara style of architecture. Aihole was not a new settlement when the Chalukyas occupied it. It was previously ruled by the Pallavas, and even before that, prehistoric human remains have been found in these areas. Under the Chalukyas, it became an Agraharam, which is a part of a village occupied by the Brahmin sect of a Hindu society. The name originates from the fact that the Agraharams have lines of houses on either side of the road and the temple to the village god at the center, thus resembling a garland around the temple. In Hindu temple architecture, the plan and elevation of the temples were based on the human anatomy, and therefore there was a succession of spaces that led to the Sanctum Sanctorum. Variations of one general model exist in every temple. The temple grounds are entered through the Gopuram or the cow gate. This is seen only in South Indian temples. The temple entrance always faces the rising sun towards the east, and the first space is the Nat Mandir or the Ranga Mantapa, followed by the Mukha Mantapa, and then the Sanctum Sanctorum called the Garbhagriha or the womb chamber. There are other optional spaces like the Antarada, Sukhanasi, etc. The Shikhara or the Vimana is the tower above the sanctum. Here we see a temple of the Nagara or North Indian style, specifically the Khandarya Mahadev temple in the Khajuraho temple complex. This is the Brihadishwara temple built in the South Indian Dravida style and has a similar spatial organization. What we now see here is the Aihole Archaeological Park. Out of the 125 temples in Aihole, the two main mostly intact temples are the Durga temple and the Ladkhan temple. These temples were built out of locally available sandstone and were assembled without mortar. The Durga temple, built in the late 7th or 8th century, is the best known of the Aihole temples. It is apsidal in plan, that is, it has a semicircular end. The shape of the temple in Indian traditional architecture is known as Gajaprastha, which means the resemblance to the back of an elephant. The temple also has a high molded Adhisthana or base and a curvilinear tower or a shikhara. A pillared corridor runs around the temple, enveloping the shrine and outer halls. All through the temple, there are beautiful carvings. The temple appears to be of the late 7th or early 8th century. We can clearly see the experimental nature of the Chalukyan temple builders in the Ladkhan temple, named after an army general who lived here for a short period of time. Here, the temple builders, not quite understanding completely the properties of stone, strove to create a replica of a village chief's hut, originally made of wood and a thatched roof in stone. We can even see where they placed rafters in stone on top of the roof, which in the original would have been wooden beams used to weigh the thatched roof down to prevent it from flying away. Now we move on to Pattakal. The Chalukyas ruled here for a small period of time, but it is here that their architecture reached the zenith. Just to put things into perspective, around this time Constantine had ended his reign as the Catholic Pope and China had just begun printing. Of all the temples at Pattakal, the oldest is the Sangameshwara temple, built in 725 AD. The temple is built in Dravidian style and it consists of a sanctum, inner passage, and Navaranga. The sanctum and inner passage are enclosed by a pathway for pradakshina or circumambulation, which has several lattices of different designs for the windows. The main vimana is of 3 stories and its exterior walls have stone carved figures. The last and most interesting temple built here is the Kashi Vishwanatha temple. It was the last to be built here in the Chalukyan style of architecture. It was one of the structures that was a result of the amalgamation of architectural styles of the different temple buildings in India. Of this temple, only the sanctum and a passage are left today. On the pillars of the inner passage, female figures are engraved in high relief. The structure is presumably of the 8th century. Apart from these, there is also the biggest temple in the complex, the Virupaksha temple. You need more than a day to look at every carving inside the Virupaksha temple. It's considered one of the architectural marvels of the period. The architect was apparently given the title Tribhuvanacharya, or the Master of the 3 Worlds. The temple is sheer poetry carved in stone, and the walls, pillars, panels and columns are adorned with beautiful carvings depicting the epics and the Puranas. A Nandi pavilion greets you at the entrance, and the temple consists of a porch, a mandapa with 18 columns and a linga sanctuary. The Mallikarjuna temple is built similar to the Virupaksha temple and also consists of a Nandi pavilion. Coming back to present day, the Chalukyas are still remembered and celebrated, not just for their architectural achievements. The Hindu legal system owes much to the Sanskrit work Mitakshara by Vignaneshwara in the court of the Western Chalukya king Vikramaditya VI. A celebration called the Chalukya Utsava, a 3-day festival of dance and music organized by the government of Karnataka, is held at Pattikkal, Badami and Aihole. The event is a celebration of the achievements of the Chalukyas in the realm of art, craft, music and dance. The program, which starts at Pattikkal and ends in Aihole, is inaugurated by the Chief Minister of Karnataka. Singers, dance, poets and other artists from all over the country take part in this event. Nearly 400 art troupes take part in the festivities. It is needless to say that Pattikkal and Aihole remain famous tourist destinations even today.